55.
Top 5 things to watch this weekend. Number 5. Can OU and Tech lock down bowl berths? Because if they don't, or one of them doesn't, one of them will be playing next week for it at least. So if both these teams lose, that's going to be 2 5-6 teams trying to get to a bowl game. And obviously both of them were in one last year. And success for Joey McGuire, we said all year long, is, just maintaining, building towards, and getting back to a bowl game. So this would be a slight step in the wrong direction year one for him, especially if he's completely not able to win on the road. And for Oklahoma, we already know how much of a disaster of a season it's been, but would be wild if these are 2 5-6 teams next week playing for a bowl game.
I almost wish for it, because that will make that game way more interesting. If they're both already guaranteed, I don't know how much that will be that fascinating of a matchup outside of just being a fan of those two teams. I said at the beginning of the year, I don't know why we're not thinking that Tech should be making a bowl game this year. And I got the whole, well, Joey McGuire's only in his first year, and I get that and I understand that. But, here they are, and they've had multiple opportunities. They could have booked it 2 weeks ago. It's hard to make a bowl game, but it's not that hard. They made one last year and then fired the head coach after making one to hire Joey. So, how difficult is it really? I think that, fortunately for him, no matter how you slice it, if they don't make one, then you'll have the built-in excuse. I just didn't like the built-in excuse of well, he doesn't need to make one. It's year number one. It's but you made one last year, and the guy got fired after making one. So that was just my whole point with it. It's basically built in from the get-go that first-year head coach doesn't make one. It's not that big of a deal. I would feel differently, though, because I would look at all the wasted opportunities that you would have had. And I would also look at it as first-year head coach, maybe first bowl season would kind of be a big deal for your recruiting class and for your first year of a team to have all those extra practices. Same thing applies to Brent Venables. They both need to, just for that simple reason, make a bowl game, in my opinion, to have more time with these first-year head coaches, to have that sort of an experience. So I think that's big for both. I think from an entertainment standpoint, it would be fun to see both have to go into a must-win next week. But, there is a scenario where both of them still make one, you know? So that would be interesting as well. And I think that would leave West Virginia as the only team that wouldn't make a bowl game in the entire
Iowa State.
In Iowa State. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. They got to win out. But thank you for correcting me there. That should be an intriguing game, Oklahoma and Texas Tech there to close it out.
Yeah. Number 4, does Kentucky have anything left to throw at Georgia?
This will be 30-6.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And early in the year, when Kentucky's rolling along, the Kentucky fans were this might be where we can derail Georgia. Well, no one has yet. And after you lose to Vanderbilt, I don't think anybody feels like you can. I'm curious to see what they do have left after that to try and climb this mountain.
Were there really Kentucky fans that thought they stood any shot at Georgia?
I think early in the year when they were rolling along and they, we got an NFL quarterback, all these great things now.
Yeah. Heard all about him all year. Yeah. Can't wait. No. Do they have anything? They can throw some stuff at UGA, but it's basically throwing a fruit at the side of the bus. They're just going to keep on driving. I don't think that the Bulldogs have too much to worry about.
Yeah. Number 3, the Big Ten West matchups, particularly Iowa versus Minnesota.
This is not college football.
No, this is college football as it was invented. Take the face mask off in that Iowa-Minnesota game, and you've got 1907 all over again. They might even have the guys wear their little press card in the fedora to cover the game. But the Big Ten West could get interesting. If Iowa loses to Minnesota, if Purdue, all that could go on this week there in the Big Ten West with who gets to lose to Michigan or Ohio State.
Yeah, and then again, sometimes championship games are bizarre. But, that's kind of being fed to the Lions. Okay, great. It's kind of like in the past when District 12, 6A high school football here, You win a district championship, now go play Duncanville.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
so that's what they're dealing with. Number 2, and I know the answer to this question, but who has the bigger upset risk, TCU or Michigan? Kind of in similar spots in that Michigan's playing Illinois. That's been a team with a really solid defense, a really good running game all year long. TCU's playing Baylor, the defending conference champ. Obviously, I think it's TCU, but Michigan does, have a game. They can't look ahead too far on this week on Illinois because that's a team that's really solid running the ball and really solid playing defense, and might match them a little bit. Michigan will probably ultimately out-athlete them, but nobody's probably invincible in that, especially looking ahead to the rivalry week game next week.
Yeah, I mean, Illinois is a respectable team. They've also lost a couple in a row. Baylor just lost badly last week, so it might be splitting hairs, but I would default to TCU. Just off the top of my head here. But, yeah, I mean, both got to be careful. And you always wonder about Michigan of whether or not they're looking too much forward to that, final one and that one that's going to determine who goes to, play for the Big Ten title and also potentially to the college football playoffs. So I guess there's always that chance. But then again, I think they've kind of been at this, often enough at this point that they sort of know the deal and know that you can't just overlook Illinois to look at Ohio State. So I think Michigan will be fine. I think TCU will be ready to play too. I don't think either one of them is going to come in not aware of the risk in play.
Yeah.
Too close to the finish line.
Yeah. Number 1, DTR versus Caleb QB showdown. You don't really get QB showdowns like this all the time. 2 great quarterbacks, a huge rivalry game, a ton on the line. This is the best, most excited I've been about a Pac-12 game in a long time,
Could
personally.
be a college football playoff berth on the line.
Yeah, there's a ton on the line in this game. And 2 really fun quarterbacks, guys who have really bright futures ahead of them. So, yeah, I think this is kind of maybe the coolest thing of the week right here.
I look forward to this. Well, how many of these elite quarterbacks, you have Hooker against Bryce Young? There have been, I'm sure there's been 5 or 6 others, but how many of them have we had?
Yeah, because it's not just like we're awash in elite quarterbacks.
Right.
The NFL sits there and desperately tries to scramble and trade up for guys that might be good every single year. So the fact that we get these 2 right here at the end of the season is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they're both really great, and I like that the UCLA, USC more so than the guys pulling the trigger are actually playing for some stakes and playing for something substantial, and it's going to feel like a big deal. And I don't know how often this game feels like that to most people across the country, but obviously this one's going to have that big game feel to it. So I'm curious to see what kind of an audience that it pulls in and what the turnout's like for it. And again, I default to Caleb Williams over DTR ultimately in this one. But yeah, this is the biggest battle of LA we've seen in quite a while. So that should be fun.
All right, Paul, very well done. Thank you very much. There's one super